Hi humans, it's Zoe London from Pauvre Voisin, and welcome to my little series that I'm doing where I am explaining a chapter of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie in 5 minutes or less. So today we are talking about chapter 10 or chapter 1 of part 3, and the title of the chapter is You Can't Win an Argument. So as we know, there's a principle at the end of every chapter of the book, and the principle at the end of chapter 10 is the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. So obviously, as humans, we always want to win, right? That's just kind of a thing that we are all wired to do. And especially when it comes to things like disagreements, arguments, debates, obviously we want to win them. We want to demonstrate that our perspective is right, our opinion is right, we know more than the other person, et cetera, et cetera. But when you pull back and look at that argument that you're having with that person, not just in terms of the argument itself, but from the bird's eye view of your entire relationship with them, whether or not that's a friendship, a business relationship, a romantic partnership, really any context, any time in which you actively combat somebody, whether or not that's physically, which, we don't really do anymore, or with words, which is what an argument is, there's a winner and a loser. So Carnegie mentions a really, really, really good point in the chapter, which is that you can't ever truly win an argument, because if you lose an argument, you lose the argument, obviously. But even if you win the argument, you also lose. And what that means is that even though you may have won the argument, you may have proved the other person wrong, you may have demonstrated that you're the smartest person in the room, you're the smartest this, you're the best at this, etc. What you are doing is you're losing or weakening a bond with a potential friend or a potential business partner or a potential romantic partner because of the fact that nobody likes losing, right? I don't like losing. I'm sure you don't like losing. And nobody likes feeling like they've been put down, like they've been humiliated, like they've been belittled. I don't like it. You don't like it, I'm sure. So it's not about the argument itself, where Carnegie says, even if you win the argument, you lose. It's about the fact that you have now created an instance with another person where you have belittled them, you have made them feel inferior, and you are in a you're in a situation where unless the person that you've argued with is a literal monk or a literal saint, they're going to feel a little bit resentful of that. Now, it's important to remember that a lot of arguments actually don't really need to be had at all. And when we get in the heat of the moment, especially when we feel threatened or we feel offended or we feel like somebody else is putting us down, that's normally when a discussion becomes an argument, right? See, that's how much we don't like feeling put down or inferior or like we've been belittled. So you can't win an argument. What that really means and what Carnegie stresses in this chapter is that as much as you can, avoid arguments at all costs. And you really want to, anytime you feel like you want to prove somebody wrong, you want to show them that your view is right and that they are wrong. Instead, you're going to really want to try to find that middle ground, because basically when you go out of your way to find middle ground, we'll talk about this in the next chapter, you are taking a situation that could be very polar, where you're in an adversarial position with somebody else, and you're utilizing empathy to make sure that you are actually fostering connection with the other person. But yeah, so you can't ever win an argument. Carnegie says that, you want to find some middle ground, or like, I don't know if you saw this. I think it went really viral. I think it was earlier this year. I don't know if it was a real quote or not, but it was basically like a Keanu Reeves quote. And as we all know, Keanu Reeves is Keanu Reeves, right? But it was basically like, I've reached that point in my life where I have no interest in arguing with other people. If you think that 2 + 2 is 5, go for it and have fun. That is how you should be approaching arguments. That is basically what Carnegie says in this chapter. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I will see you guys for the next one.